how do you actually check what are the kind of health risks that you may be exposed to? And you might go on for many years without having any problem with your health, but you know that as we age, some of our daily habits may actually take its toll on us. But the other thing that we cannot really control, don't you agree, is genetics. But some people say they have like this high blood pressure or have these cardiovascular diseases, or they are more prone to heart attack, heart illness, because their entire family is actually having these genes. So these are the things that we can't really control, but it does not mean that we cannot take proactive action to actually screen through our health and watch our diet, watch our lifestyle. So even though we have a genes or whatnot that tell us we are more prone to this kind of disease, which we cannot change anyway, but we can probably mitigate the risk. If we are a high risk to hit by certain illness or disease, then on the lifestyle portion, which is the part that we can control, probably we want to actually make adjustment there. So in a whole, we are not really exposed to those health risks based on our genetic. But first of all, they say that prevention is better than cure, and as cliche as that might sound, health is wealth, and you need really, as a licensed independent financial advisor, I have to tell you that you really do need health to spend your wealth. So today I'm going to really jump into it to show you how do you actually test, right? Not the normal medical test or medical check. How do you actually check based on your genetics and what is the genes that you inherit, from your father, mother, your grandparents and all that, whether you are prone to any disease or health risk or not, that you should be taking care of. Let's get right into it. Now here I'm showing you the exact report of my DNA test by Circle DNA. Now you see that in this part diet and sport and fitness and all that, I have covered that in my first video reviewing my DNA test result. Now this is very interesting, this ancestry composition, before we jump into it, just to show you, it's obviously I'm East Asian. They say that okay, Chinese 100% are Southern minority, Southern Han Chinese. Really pretty interesting, pretty funny as well, because they say that I have a 3.9% African genes, which is quite ridiculous, right? Anyway, but this is like dating probably like 20 generations back. So if I were to show you here personality traits, okay, I'm not going to go through this, but for the purpose of this video, if you haven't really checked out what I cover on the diet, talents and performance, all that, just check out the other video popping up on the upper right hand corner. And what I want to show you here is this is what we call family planning. Now family planning is also a very good section, because if you do the premium kit, then it also includes this family planning report to say whether you are a carrier for any genetic illness or not. So if you and your staff actually conduct a test, and you can see if both of you have a carrier for certain genetic illness, and there might be a high chance that your kids will actually have that, or they might not. Study the biology lesson, whereby if parents is blood A and then the other parents is blood B, and then what are the possibility that the children would have a type O or type A or B or AB. So I'm not going through into that. For details, you can check out the description below. But this is the thing that I want to show you: early detection, right? Cancer risk, right? Now this is the most, I think, the critical illness portion. Most of people are very afraid, or this is of the utmost importance when it comes to this cancer risk. Now for me, as you can see, my genetic result shows that I'm very, very healthy. There's no cancer causing mutation was detected. Just walk you through based on genetic, what are the things that they test. This DNA test by Circle DNA, it says that bladder cancer, whether you have brain cancer, breast cancer, carcinoid, this I don't even know what it is. Now colon cancer is very common, esophagus cancer, also very common. Now this I don't even know what is this. Kidney cancer, leukemia, liver cancer, lung cancer, lymphoma, cancer of the lymph. This one I think is skin cancer, melanoma, and what else? Neuroblastoma, not sure what that is. You can Google that. Pancreas cancer, like what Steve Jobs actually had, right? They say that no cancer causing mutation. Everything was green, so prostate cancer and all that. Although prostate cancer actually affect a lot of men who are in their 50s, 60s and all that. They tell you what are the thing over here. Now you can check that out. So this is cancer risk, whether a critical or illness, right? And then they have also what we call dementia, whether you are prone to the risk when it comes to brain health and all that. So I'm just going to show you this one. And at Alzheimer's disease, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, like what John Nash, I think, A Beautiful Mind, the movie is about that, right? Parkinson's disease. What are your risks for that? So obviously, I'm just like at an average risk. So you either have like average risk or elevated risk. So average risk, I think everyone, if you don't have like, you are not special, you would be fall under average risk. If you have an elevated risk, then you know that if your parents or your grandparents had that, you probably fall under elevated risk when it comes to this dementia and brain health. And the other thing about common health risk, now this is pretty common, like for example high cholesterol. Now the thing is, I've just recently done my blood test, and my cholesterol is actually very under control. It's not even high, it's actually below the maximum limit. So I control my diet, exercise every day. So that is how I say, even though your genetic test that you are at an elevated risk for high cholesterol, but the fact is, my cholesterol level is not high because I make a change in the lifestyle. Now it used to be high, but I make a change, a conscious change in my lifestyle. I probably run 25 or 30 kilometers every week. People just go for marathon and that run marathon once or twice or thrice a year, but I actually run an equivalent to a full marathon every week, not in a single day. But I run like 6-7 km per day, multiplied by 5 or 6 days. That is equivalent to your marathon, which is why it's not a problem for me. Now, it says that I also have what we call a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease illness, so very prone to fatty liver. So I really have to control my diet. Other than that, stroke, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and all that, these are only like average risk. Now, it's good. Average risk means that you are same like everyone else, right? They wouldn't tell you whether you are low risk or not. There's no such thing as low risk, as you can see over here. So coming back to here, there's also what we call as a disease risk. Obviously, there's a long list over here, but other than what I'm very vulnerable to is of course flu. Now that is true because back when I was a kid, I always every month have to see doctor is because of a flu, which caused me to have like swollen tonsil, sore throat and all that. Migraine, yeah, sometimes it says that probably when I'm old, I might have a risk for osteoporosis, which is why I'm actually taking some calcium supplement over here, because I don't really drink milk because I'm a bit of a lactose intolerant. So you actually make some adjustment, right, to say that okay, if osteoporosis, you say that genetically you are high risk, so you make some adjustment based on that. Now the other thing, ADHD, allergies, whether you have, I don't even know what this is, anxiety disorder, asthma, I don't have asthma, autism, okay. So it's really a great long list to know, tell you something about things that you probably wouldn't have known yourself before. So this is a DNA test, and the good, another thing that is probably will be useful for doctors when you need to take any medicine, is that if you have any high blood pressure or diabetes medicine, they even tell you like, okay, what kind, based on your genetic, what are kind of drugs and all that is safe, and what kind of drugs are actually not so safe, right? So this might actually help your doctors to make some decision, right? Because the doctor, there's no way a doctor can know what you're allergic from unless they prescribe you first, right? But with this information, I think, of course, I'm not on any medication, but for those of you who are, this might actually give you some clue of what are the right kind of medicine to take to actually reduce your side effects and all that. So it's really, I think it's really worth the money. Like I say, if you really need to, you really love this, you want to do a DNA test yourself, tell you everything of here. You can get a discount code, a 20% off discount code by leaving your comments below this video, right? And you get right into it, reply you, and what are the discount code you can use before you actually buy, and use our links to actually buy that. All right. Now, to really do this Circle DNA test by Circle DNA, is a Hong Kong-based company. I've used the exact services to actually conduct and just show you the result of my DNA test. Now, it's very simple. You just use a swab of your saliva. You can just Google that, and you can see there's so many examples, even myself showing you, demonstrating to you how it's being done. I've done this for myself, my spouse, and also my children as well. Now, I know that the premium package is not exactly cheap, but if you are watching this, I want to actually give you a 20% discount code off by using a special discount code. I mean, just like you go to Lazada, go to AliExpress, you go to even like Asia, sometimes they have this discount code. So I have a discount code. Use this discount code to get 20% off, of any of those DNA test kit that you want to purchase. They have something like the most basic one, which is less than 2,000, but it doesn't really test about the disease or illness risk. It only tests like what are the most suitable diet, most suitable exercise for you, which I've covered in this video. Right, I covered that in this video popping up over here. You can actually watch that as well. But if you're watching at this and watching this lesson, this video, and you really want to test your disease risk and all that, so you have to go for the premium kit. That is the best value for money. So if you really want the discount code, just comments below in the comment section, and I will reply you with the discount code that you need to get a 20% off of the purchase price. Now, that being said, I'm CF Liu, and I hope this lesson has been useful, and I really wish upon you long life and be healthy always.